I'm Ja Rule. Let's race this car.
Monica! Welcome to Fridays on the Fly, episode 13. I'm Eric.
And I'm Ward. We are creative people with creative projects. And today, my top all-time movies. So first things first. I listened to the Untitled podcast with Adam Savage. And he talked about shop storage schemes and, tool storage.
Yeah, he's done that a couple times. I mean, I don't know how long you've been listening, but I've been listening to Untitled from the beginning, or very close to the beginning. Man, you would be really interested in their early stuff, because later they start to talk about movies and things, and, it seems to be a lot of their podcasts lately.
Stuff I just want to fast forward through.
Right. But if you go back, and I recommend that you go back, he talks a lot about his own personal experience working in shops and how he got to where he is today. And every time I listen to one of those episodes, I always thought of you, because I thought, man, if anybody's going to like this, it's going to be Ward.
Well, that's what I was hoping I'd hear when I listened to it. But now they talk about books and movies.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't come to you because you read books. I come to you because you make stuff.
I think they've run out of things to talk about as far as making stuff. Or they don't want to spoil things like you don't want to spoil things. So they don't talk about something until after it's already done. I'd rather hear your process of what you're doing, what you're making and what's going. Even though I don't make things, that's the kind of stuff that interests me. So if you go back, you should go back and listen to their first 40 episodes. I think you'd really like it.
Yeah, because, he's always making stuff. All these big conventions, he's always making some crazy costume. And,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear about. But when I listen to that, I noticed parallels. I'm like, oh, yeah, we talked about that a couple weeks ago.
Oh, the shop thing?
Yeah, the shop thing. There's something else I can't remember now. There's been a few things where I'm like, oh, yeah, we talked about it on our podcast. Of course, our episode won't come out until much later, but they didn't inspire us. We inspired them.
Their podcast has to be somewhere up on the top, would you say? Probably top 10 podcasts?
I don't know about top 10. I think they're more niche. There's a lot of people that do costumes and stuff. I think the comedy stuff, I think a lot of people they like the comedy. They don't really...
I haven't found any of the comedy that funny yet. Everybody raves about Joe Rogan's podcast. I can't get into it.
He throws his stuff on YouTube, and I listened to it for a little while, but they're so long. He goes for 2 and 3 hours. I can't do that.
They're long, and I think he's insane.
I listened for about 20 minutes. There just was nothing to get me to continue listening.
And that's pretty much what happened to me, too. And I don't know how he has such a big fan base, but he does.
Something we mentioned a couple weeks ago, I posted my blog post with my top all-time movies. And you really liked that list, so I wanted to open that up for you and talk about it.
I really should have thought about my own top 10. Run through them real quickly, your top 10. I remember specifically 2 Colin Farrell movies being in there. And I think one was the Bruges one.
In Bruges.
In Bruges, right.
Love that movie.
Yeah, me too. I don't know if it'd be in top 10, though. I think my top 10 would be more pop movie. Does that make sense? Where yours are a little more artsy?
Pop
maybe?
isn't just popular.
Right. Like pop music, but more pop movie. I think we just created a term there, pop movie. Or is there another term for that?
We said pop music movies, so we're talking like Britney Spears and Jim and the Holograms, and that's the kind of movies you're after. What was that Britney Spears movie? The Crossroads.
You see, you know the name of it. That's a problem.
But
pop movies, or just those popular movies like Iron Man, something like that. That's a pop movie.
That's an example. That's not your top movie.
No, Lord, no. Certainly not. I'm one of those people that I rate the movie on, can I sit and watch this movie again and really enjoy it? Like Back to the Future. I could sit and watch it every time it's on. If it's on, I'm going to watch it. I like the movie. I love the idea of it. I love picking it apart. I think it's a great movie. Would it make my top 10? I don't know, but it's one of those movies I can watch every time it's on. And there's a couple other movies that I would be ashamed to mention that I watch every time they're on. Is because I watch them every time that they come on, would they then be my top 10 movies?
Well, some movies fall into the guilty pleasure category where you'll watch them when they're on, but you don't necessarily consider them your top movie.
Right. Like I've got a bunch of movies like that, like My Big Fat Greek Wedding. I don't know why, but every time it's on, I watch it. I love the movie. Oh, there's another one. I'm ashamed to even say it, but You've Got Mail. Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks. I can quote you most of the movie. That's how well I know it. It's one of those, I don't know why I like it. I just like it. Can you explain it?
I'm not sure I even want to think hard enough to get into that.
Those 3 movies don't even really intersect. It's not like they're the same kind of movie. It's just Juwanna Man. If it's on, I could probably watch it. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's true. Devil Wears Prada is one of those guilty pleasure movies, too. I'm sorry. It just is.
Isn't that supposed to be a good movie, though? I've never seen it.
Oh, it's a really good movie.
Right?
It's a very good movie. I read the book and stays nothing true. It's nothing like the book. It's a very good movie. So.
Yeah, my guilty pleasure movies aren't quite that ridiculous. All these movies in here, though, are movies that I definitely could and would watch again. There's some movies that I really like, but I could just never watch again. I guess my biggest guilty pleasure movie would be The Fast and the Furious. The first one.
Man, those are so awful.
Yeah, but see, the thing I like about the first one is that it really was passionate about cars. Before it came into an action movie, they really like cars.
I agree. The second movie is where I really like the most cars.
Even the second movie felt a little too commercial.
It definitely was more commercial, but that Skyline is like, forget it. That's my top car. But yeah, the first one, the only thing I didn't like about the first one in the cars were all like the big decals they were putting on the sides of the cars. They looked ridiculous.
That was still pretty prevalent in the second one.
Was it really?
Yeah, I mean, I know.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The orange Julius RX-7 pops to mind.
Right, and there's a pink S2000 car that the girl drives. I think she drives an S2000.
Yeah, there's a pink car, maybe an Eclipse, I can't remember. The Skyline probably was more tastefully done, but it still was blue and silver and some scallops and different things going on. Right.
So, yeah, your guilty pleasure is Fast and Furious.
And I'm pretty sure Ludacris's car in the second one, I don't know what he drove, but I'm willing to guess it was probably pretty crazy.
Did they even show Ludacris driving anything? See, my problem with the Fast and Furious movies is it's hard to admit. I can't watch them again, so they're not one of my guilty pleasure movies, just because why are they picking Tyrese? Why is Ludacris in this movie? Why is that little peanut head rapper in the movie? I can't even think of his name right now. Ja Rule, who was also on your
Ja was in the first one.
Your brother's CD. Was it? He was in the first one?
He's definitely in the first one. I'm not sure he's in anything else.
I don't know, but why is he in it? Why is he? Why?
I'm Ja Rule. Let's race this car.
Monica! Minaj! It's just so ridiculous. Well, you could have actually got actors to fill these roles, and the movie may have been better than just a Fast and Furious movie.
I don't know if this plays into him being in the movie, but he was on the soundtrack. Maybe that was a part of it. Who knows?
Ridiculous. What else is your guilty pleasure movies?
I don't watch much TV because I don't have cable or satellite or anything.
Right.
So I don't have the opportunity. I mean, most of the movies that I'd sit down and watch every time they were on, they're on my list.
Okay, so your top 10. Break it down.
And this is in no particular order. In Bruges.
Great movie. I agree about In Bruges.
That movie, it blended drama and comedy, and it just blended everything so well. It was so well written.
The cinematography of it was really nice, too.
That movie is so amazing. It's done by Martin McDonagh. And his second movie, Seven Psychopaths, his first movie was so good that I had such high expectations for Seven Psychopaths that I was disappointed. Because I thought that movie, had the base to be something really neat, but it just didn't quite reach that level. But he actually has a new movie coming out. I don't know when, but Frances McDormand is going to star in it.
I don't know if I'd watch that. We'll see.
I'd watch it because, In Bruges, it's like if he could recapture half of that magic again.
Yeah, but the Seven Psychopaths movie sounds like it sounds like In Bruges, except with more psychopaths.
Seven Psychopaths was a little bit different. I mean, it's like he's trying to go meta to where, I think I have this right, it's been a while since I've seen it. Colin Farrell, of course, is in it. And he's writing a screenplay, and then somehow what he's writing the screenplay mirrors his real life situation. Like, it becomes some kind of meta commentary. And it could have been well done, but they just kind of missed it. And Sam Rockwell's in it, which I really like Sam Rockwell.
I like Sam Rockwell, too.
Really neat. Anyway, that is... And there are just some really funny parts. And to just be really funny and really dramatic... So many movies can't do either one alone well. They have to do both. And the ending, very good.
They could have changed the ending just a little.
That is your complaint every time. Inside Llewyn Davis.
I don't know that one.
I love that movie. But Inside Llewyn Davis, it's about 60s, kind of a folk singer where folk music is beginning to become more popular.
Right.
And you have this artist played by Oscar Isaac where, I really respect this guy as an actor now, but this is the first thing I'd seen him in. Or I realized I'd seen him in. I realized later I'd seen him in a few things. I just didn't realize it was him. I don't know. It's something to me. I always like a movie where you follow the plight of an artist and this struggling artist who's trying to make it and doesn't make it. And it's by the Coen brothers. I know a lot of people are really big fans of them. I like their movies. I think they're well done. They don't always connect with me. But this movie, the music in it is amazing. And Oscar Isaac actually sang all the parts. When you see him singing on screen, that is him actually
When was
singing.
This movie done?
2013, maybe?
I've never even heard of that.
The soundtrack is amazing. And very few movies do I watch it and want to watch it again right after, but this was that movie. The New World.
I don't think I saw that either. Is that Colin Farrell?
Colin Farrell.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes. This movie, I'd heard it was good, and I watched it, and I didn't like it.
Oh, yeah, I remember you talking about this, yeah.
And so then later I watched The Thin Red Line, another Terrence Malick film, and I really liked it. And I noticed a lot of similarities from that in The New World, and I was like, well, let me give The New World a second chance. Because there's a lot of movies I feel like you kind of need to watch them twice.
Some, yeah.
And that one, I watched it again, and it just clicked. It seemed like this, I consider it a very artistic movie, and it just completely blended a movie with a nature documentary, and it just seemed to be seamless.
Mm.
And, it's not your traditional movie, and it is 3 hours long.
Ugh.
But after I watch it, I'm like, this is my new favorite movie. I thought it was really neat.
I'm not sure that I could like any movies that are 3 hours long.
It can be tough. Gattaca.
Oh, I agree with. I don't know if Gattaca would be my top 10, but I do like Gattaca.
And again, this comes back to you have this guy that is aspiring to be something, and I like movies that fit into that. And his whole struggle to be something he's not.
The idea of that whole movie is just incredible. That your life is already predetermined. I mean, that's just if you haven't seen it, that's one I definitely recommend. In Bruges too. I mean, but it can be a little rough if you're not used to any type of violence.
And Gattaca, especially like when I saw it, thinking that this is how good you are. This is all you can do. You can't do more than that. And I think there's a part in the movie where he says, my heart was supposed to stop beating, 1,000 beats ago, and I'm still here. There's just so many scenes in that movie that just hit me and are mesmerizing. I mean, when he's swimming in the sound with his brother, they're racing, they're adults, and the very end, the movie's just awesome. Love that movie.
I think that's the first time I've seen Jude Law too. That's him in that, right?
Yeah.
I think it's the first movie I've seen him in. I actually kind of liked him after that.
I said, from what I think of, that's probably one of his best performances.
Probably.
After that, he seems to always play this kind of certain...
Same kind of guy.
Kind of sleazy...
Yeah. He took over for Hugh Grant, I think.
It's actually kind of true, unfortunately. The Terminator.
The original one.
Oh, yeah.
Again, gosh, that's a great movie. See, I don't know how you formulated the top 10. I really have no idea how you did it.
It's tough. That's one of those few movies I wish I could just delete from my brain and watch again. It's an action movie. It's a revenge movie. It's a love story. All these things.
Sci-fi. It's everything.
And I mean the design. Like the way the Terminator looks. So many neat things about that movie.
Yeah.
Like I try to imagine what it'd be like when you first realize that Arnold is not a man, because it's about 20 minutes in before you realize there's something not right about this guy. I wish I could relive that.
That really started off his career in Kindergarten Cop, and I was kidding.
It did. Wasn't that the second movie
I think it was his first movie, though.
Second, because or maybe third. He did Conan before that.
Oh, yeah.
His very first movie, his name was Arnold Strong, because Schwarzenegger was too long. And I think it was called Conan in New York, but that is regarded as an absolutely terrible movie.
I'm sure it was. He's never a good actor.
Ghostbusters.
That's a sentimental thing. That can't be because the movie's so good.
It is a very good
I like
comedy.
the movie. That's more of a Back to Future. That's a Back to the Future pull right there.
But see, that movie is very funny. It's very subtle. It's my style of comedy.
Again, I think it's a good movie too, but I see that as more of a pop movie. We're starting a new phrase here. That's a pop movie.
I could say that's a pop movie, but at the same time, it wouldn't be a pop movie if it wasn't so well done.
No.
I mean, again, because I like the design, I like the idea. I mean,
I think if they would have stopped at one, it might not have been a pop movie.
Maybe not.
The second you brought Bobby Brown into it,
but here's the thing: this movie, they bring out a 50-foot tall marshmallow man. And now, a lot of movies, I think this is completely ridiculous, but this movie sells you on it. I mean, how many movies can sell you on something so ridiculous and you not think this movie's stupid? You're completely with it. You're like, yeah, I believe that. I'm down for that.
I remember watching it in the 80s. And not really completely understanding the movie. Then I've watched it again a couple of times, but I've watched it recently, probably in the past 6 months. I had no idea how sexually driven it was at some points. I was like, oh my gosh, Sigourney Weaver's hot.
She was better in
Alien?
No, what was that movie? It was like a sci-fi satirization. Tim Allen, Sam
Galaxy
Rockwell.
Quest.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I completely agree.
So it's the hair that was doing the rest of it. Okay.
Oh no! Even in Ghostbusters, I was like, yeah, she's kind of hot.
Yeah, I know. There's one scene with Ray and a ghost, and my mom's like, I'm like an adult now. My mom's like, I've never understood this scene. What's going on there? Like, well, you see, when a man really loves a woman, that was awkward. I think about the very first scene where Peter is in his lab or whatever office, and he's testing the guy and the girl on the ESP. He's a scientist that doesn't even care that he's a scientist.
No.
I think it's hilarious because this girl, he's letting her slide, but the guy's actually, the negative reinforcement's working on him. He's actually guessing the thing's right, but Peter does not care at all.
No, he doesn't care. He keeps buzzing him and calling hers correct.
Yeah. It's hilarious. I mean, but if you don't if you're not aware of what's going on, you're not paying attention to it, you don't realize how absolutely hilarious that is.
No, it's good. It's I consider it a pop movie, but yes, it is a good movie.
I consider it, the greatest comedy of all time, but that's just me.
Well, I think you're going to get something on the list, something else on the list where it's maybe greatest comedy of all time.
We'll see. Unbreakable.
Good movie, and I'm a comic book fan and always have been, and when this movie came out, I had no idea what this movie was going to be. When I actually watched it, I was amazed. Whether it would be in my top 10, again, I don't know.
And a lot of these movies I rank by, there's just a scene or a moment that just hits me that I'm like,
Yes.
Wow, takes your breath away. This movie is so well done. M. Night Shyamalan, and I think about what he did afterwards, and for the longest time, I thought he had done this before The Sixth Sense, because I thought The Sixth Sense started his, it has to be a twist every time. This was actually after The Sixth Sense. For the longest time, I thought
after The Sixth Sense?
I thought that's what I read this week. When I was looking this up.
Yeah, you're probably right.
For a long time, I thought it was before. I'm like, oh no, because this was before he had to do a twist every movie. You know, the design, everything. I mean, it kind of blends that comic book feel.
The story idea is incredible. That's not something you're going to see anywhere else. Like you watch a lot of movies now, and you could probably look 30 years back and go, oh, okay, they kind of lifted a good part of the movie from here, and they've just brought it into the current age. Not this movie.
And the movie asks a big question, you know, because in the end, the villain's like, without me, you wouldn't be a hero. And it's kind of like this chicken or egg thing. And I mean, I love this deep question of, well, you know, he's right.
What would I
be
without you?
This guy wouldn't be saving lives. It wasn't for the, and it's so intertwined, you can't separate it. And I love movies that do that. Yeah, this was a movie that after I saw it, it was like, oh, have you seen Unbreakable? You got to see Unbreakable. You have to check this out. And you're like, oh, it's in Night Shyamalan. Like, oh yeah, The Sixth Sense. Like, no, he's the Unbreakable guy. I mean, now he's not, but
yeah, no. The Village.
I didn't mind The Village that much. I liked Signs less. I thought The Village was really neat. I mean, it's such a cool concept.
I like Signs better, but I didn't really like either one of them enough to think much of either one. But if I had to pick one, it'd be Signs. But goodness gracious, there was so much talking in that movie. Could we possibly stop the talking? Please, someone shut Joaquin Phoenix up. Please.
The downfall of that movie is that M. Night Shyamalan became this guy that, oh, it's the twist. He's the twist guy.
Right.
And at the same time, it's funny because I was reading an article this week about how somebody's saying that it's really not that bad of a movie. And they were citing the fact that Sci-Fi created a documentary that they purported to be real about M. Night Shyamalan. I'm like, oh, I remember that. I thought it was completely ridiculous. And apparently it wasn't true, and they had to issue an apology and all this ridiculous stuff because they're trying to make him seem like really mysterious and like,
of course.
Yeah, that was really ridiculous. I'm glad they issued an apology because they should have. That was not good. The Departed.
Here's my problem with The Departed. Smart movie. I was confused by the end. And here's the confusion. Who does Marky Mark work for?
Good question. This is
and I left the end going, what just happened? So please enlighten me.
This is just my take on it. Mark Wahlberg, Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, saying that he realized somehow, because you don't know how much time has passed in between that. And I think at the time he was on leave, or I don't know. Let's say he was on leave.
I can't remember the movie well enough to know what his...
He never liked Matt Damon. At some point, he either just went with his gut instinct or somehow found something out and realized that this guy's not good. And either he killed him because he's not good, or he somehow realized that this guy's related to the fact... Because also Mark Wahlberg knew that Leo, he's one of the few people that knew Leo was good. So I just think he pieced all the pieces together, and I don't think he avenged Leo. I think he avenged Martin Sheen. Mm-hmm. And just, this guy's bad. He's got to be put down. Because he knew that the guy's just going to keep doing well. He's going to keep excelling. He needs to be stopped.
Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a movie that, I don't even know what it's about. Because, I mean, if I had to be hard-pressed, I'm not sure I'd call it Martin Scorsese's best movie, but there's just something about that movie I really like.
I agree. There's something about the movie. You know what I like about it? It's no messing around. Everyone gets shot in the freaking head. Yeah. It's great.
Everybody dies.
Who messes around like that? When you're going to shoot someone, and I see a movie and you shoot somebody and you shoot them in the arm, and then they immediately turn around and ignore the person they just shot in the arm to go help the person who's in distress, I'm thinking, why didn't you just end their life? Why wouldn't you just shoot them in the head? And then a split second later, go help the person that needs it. Now, they get up, they come behind them, they hit them, there's a fight, there's a struggle. There's none of that in this movie.
The bad guy has to tell them their evil plan.
Right? When someone's going to die, someone just gets shot in the head. It's great.
And maybe that's what's so refreshing about it. But at the same time, it's also the intrigue that you have two double agents. That's just a neat dynamic.
That's why I wasn't sure where Marky Mark came in, whether he was actually mafia or not.
I wouldn't think so. I
don't know.
Because, with everything else he did, it didn't feel like it.
I don't know.
Well, I think it's definitely open for interpretation.
Right. But again, I agree with you. It was a really good movie. I don't know that I followed right at the end. I followed everything right up to the end, and I was like, what just happened there?
Well, because then also, the rat walks across the railing, and I feel like that's some kind of callback back to Matt Damon.
Maybe.
I've had more thoughts, but it's just been so long these things evaporate. But I like this movie so much. It's actually based on an Asian film, Infernal Affairs. It's pretty much, this is the American remake. It's the exact same thing.
Sounds like a porn. Infernal Affairs.
But that movie is really good.
You've seen the Japanese version?
Yeah, but I watched it after. So, I feel like if I'd seen the Japanese version first, I like to like that more.
Right, but then you're watching a Scorsese.
So, since I've seen Scorsese first, it's like,
right.
it's not as new as fresh, because I've seen this. I know what's happening. But it still is a very good film. And I thought, the Scorsese version, they updated it and they had a few tweaks that were, that's kind of slick.
Plus, his cinematography is just amazing.
Yeah.
Every time I see it, I'm just, you're watching a Scorsese.
And the performances in that movie. I mean, I thought Leo did such a great job. Matt Damon did a really good job.
I think Martin Scorsese has such a name now. When you get into one of those movies, you want to bring it. You want to bring your best.
Let's look at his movies. He knows how to get the best out of his actors, too. He gets it.
And he has no problem getting the best actors. If he asks you to be in a movie, you're not going to say no.
I'm sorry. I was going to work on this movie, called Resident Evil. I think it's really going to give me some...
I was going to do Smokey and the Bandit 4.
All right, so my next movie is a bit of a cheat because I packed 2 in 1, but Before Sunrise and Before Sunset. And I like these because they kind of subvert what a movie is. A movie's supposed to have a plot. It's supposed to have a beginning, a middle, and end. This movie doesn't have any of that. But the conversations feel so real. You can't extricate one movie from the other. They're so ingrained that you really, one without the other, it just is less. It's a neat set of movies.
Still, I haven't seen them, but I keep seeing things about them. Like I watched that Linklater thing that was on HBO. Did you see that?
I did not see that.
No, it was a whole tribute to him.
Really? What? Is this covering all his work or something specific?
Yeah, it was all the actors that have been in a lot of his movies, just talking about the movies he's done, and they show clips from the movies, and it was a whole retrospective on his life, even though he's still alive.
I assume this was after Boyhood, because that kind of catapulted him to a higher tier of people knew who he was.
So yeah, HBO did a 2-hour. I don't know. I don't want to say documentary, but
in essence,
a documentary, and that's where I got to see a lot about the films. And my gosh, the people that act for him love him. Everyone loves him. I guess he said something like if he died, he wanted Ethan Hawke to continue Boyhood. You'd have to see. You'd love it.
Oh, it sounds like
you would love it.
I'm a huge Linklater fan. I mean, I've seen nearly all his movies. But yeah, Before Sunrise, Before Sunset. I mean, it's almost like a documentary, and it's the fact that Ethan Hawke and I can't remember the girl's name right now, and Linklater, they all wrote it together and very collaborative. It comes through. Am I watching a documentary? Is this a movie? It redefines what a movie could be.
After watching the documentary, quote unquote, it made me go back and watch Slacker because I forgot how good Slacker was. How it was one take. You understand?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. That is incredible. Incredible. That in itself is incredible. It seems like he almost specializes in not making so much the best movie, but making something that other people don't make. So specialty is not making a typical movie, but doing a different one each one, like Before Sunset, Before Sunrise. Sound like they're, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sound like they're completely unlike any other movie out there. And Boyhood is unlike any other movie out there. And Slacker, until seeing Birdman, it's the only time I've ever seen it done.
And take A Scanner Darkly. Keanu Reeves, Woody Harrelson, Robert Downey Jr., and he rotoscopes the whole thing. He has artists draw over top of them. Who would do that to those stars where they don't even look like who they are anymore?
Right.
Yeah. And it's such a surreal movie. The thing is, it's based on a Philip K. Dick sci-fi novel. If he didn't do this rotoscoping technique, I mean, the CGI would have made it so expensive he wouldn't be able to make the movie.
So do you think that's his niche too, that he does things that he essentially just does things that other movies don't do? That little niche where I'm going to do this thing because no other film does it. I'm going to do this thing because it's never been done in the film. I mean, do you think that's his niche?
I mean, is that his motivation? I don't know, but is that what he does? Sure.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he sets out to think, well, nobody's done this, I'm going to do it. I'm wondering maybe he thinks differently from everybody else, and he thinks, well, hey, I want to do this, but what if I
How
do
I
like
achieve
that?
it? Okay, yeah. I don't know. I just don't know how he comes up with the ideas. He's watching Slacker. I was just really amazed by it, and then I thought this movie came out like 93 or 94. I haven't seen anyone else do this again until Birdman, which I'm not even sure they did it in Birdman. It's that some of that wasn't manipulated.
Oh, I mean, they cheated, sure. I mean, it's not like it was one take. It's made to look like a take. When you look hard, you can see the break.
Oh, definitely.
To even try to do it, it was incredibly difficult for them to achieve what they did. The Matrix.
Gosh.
I mean,
you have 2 Colin Farrell movies and a Keanu Reeves movie.
I remember the first time, I just can never forget the first time I saw that movie. And it starts with this hack. She starts running and thinking, okay. And then she starts getting in a fight with the cops. You're like, wait a minute, you can't do that. That's impossible. It just keeps building. You're like, what is going on in this movie? And then you're like, oh, the Earth, it's all a simulation. And I thought there's some great humor. It's like, oh, everything tastes like chicken. Well, that's because it's a simulation. The computer. I was like, oh, that's so clever.
There was the good humor. This movie was unlike anything we had ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
And honestly, still now, it's still unlike anything I've ever seen. That's one of those movies where when it's on, I'll watch it. I don't want to see it on TV because I don't want to see the cut parts, and I want to see every scene. Gosh, that's just one of those movies you can watch over and over again. And it's still really good.
And the action scenes, excellent.
Yeah. So top 10, I'll agree with you. That's a first definite top 10 I would agree with you on.
And it's still amazing. Like, I watch movies now, and it's like, we've had action movies out for a long time. How do people still not know how to shoot an action sequence? What movie? I was watching some movie the past couple of weeks, and the action scenes were atrocious. Child 44. Yeah, that one, if you had set out, like, all right, what is the worst decision cinematography-wise for these action scenes we can make? Very last scene, you have the two bad guys. They're white guys. They're in the woods. They somehow fall in a mud pit. They're covered head to toe in mud. I can't tell who's who. They're two white guys covered in mud. The bad guy and the good guy, who's winning? I don't know. It seemed like a terrible decision. And all the action scenes, I'm trying to like move my head, bobbing, trying to figure out, okay, what's going on?
It seems like a lot of movies do those things now where everything is tight. And it happened, and I think that started with The Bourne Identity. But The Bourne Identity's action scenes I thought were really good.
Oh, yeah.
They would do these shots where you'd see full body, but then you see these really tight shots and these really awkward shots where you really wouldn't know what was actually happening. And I think that's kind of where it started was The Bourne Identity.
Yeah, so let's copy it, but not do it as well.
Exactly
like
right.
The Expendables, maybe Expendables 2, I can't remember which one, but the action scenes were terrible because if I don't know who's doing what and where we are, you failed. I should know where they are, what's going on. We've been doing action movies for a long time. This should not be an issue. Hire somebody that has shot an action movie that knows what to do.
I like the action from The Matrix. I also like the stuff that Guy Ritchie does, his action sequences. And they're completely unlike anything else, but now it's overdone. Every time he does a movie, it's going to be just like Snatch. Everything is kind of turned into that now.
And that's the way it goes, like The Matrix. And that came out and it was like, oh, okay, that's how we need to do action scenes now. Let's try to copy that and just fail colossally.
Miserably.
Yeah.
If you just looked at The Matrix and just said, "Oh, is this a great action movie?" I don't know that it is. I mean, it had the story to go with it too.
It built this whole world.
It had the story. Took me a while. I was like, Neo. Does that mean he's the one? Is that what that means? I don't know. Someone tell me. Took me a while to make that connection. Yeah, that's an incredible movie.
Again, that Matrix is neat because after the movie, you're walking back to your kitchen and you're like, well, wait a minute. A lot of things do taste like chicken.
Can I bend a spoon with my mind?
I love a movie that you walk away and you can still think about it. And a movie that makes me ask questions or makes me think after I leave it alone. I like that movie.
I agree.
It's really hard to pare a list down to just 10. It's my honorable mention list. It's a tough list.
Oh, I know. I don't know how I'd do just 10. What's amazing is how many... You don't have a lot of big name actors in any of these movies. You've not pulled out like one Tom Hanks movie, not one Denzel movie. There's no big name actors. I mean, I guess Colin Farrell would be a big name actor, but he's not to the caliber of Tom Hanks or somebody like that, or Denzel, you know.
Yeah, but see, I mean, they do pop movies. You know, they don't often go into the artistic type movies.
That's true.
The Thin Red Line. Mentioned it before. I like Terrence Malick's movies. I mean, he does amazing stuff. They're really artistic, but not annoying. The cast list is ridiculous. He shoehorned so many people into that movie.
I don't remember the movie well enough to comment on it. I saw it once. That was enough. I did enjoy it.
Big Trouble in Little China.
This is where the confusion happens. I'm going to need some explanation on Big Trouble in Little China.
I mean, I admit there's a little bit of nostalgia there, but at the same time, you know, you watch this movie and you have this guy, Kurt Russell. I mean,
it's horribly acted. The whole movie is horribly acted.
But, you know, I think that's part of the charm because you have Kurt Russell and he's like this rah, you know, macho American hero. But if you look at it, he does nothing heroic. His sidekick is the one that wins all the battles. It pretty much turns the typical, you know, American action hero on its ear because the guy's actually incompetent.
But he actually does kill the bad guy in the end.
He does. Well, that's hilarious.
The head bad guy.
In one of the very first scenes, you know, he's talking about how great his reflexes are.
It's all on the wrist.
And it completely comes back, you know, to where it was his sidekick, played by Dennis Dunn, who did all the work. Near the end, he's got a Uzi or, you know, some kind of MAC-10, some kind of automatic. And he's like, all right, let's go. And he shoots it up in the air where movies do that all the time. Well, he does it, then like bricks fall on his head, knocks him out. He's knocked out. Everybody else is fighting and, you know, he's just there. It's one of those movies that if you just watch it and you don't really think about it, you're like, oh, okay, that's okay. But if you start to think about what an action hero is and what this movie does, it's really deep. It's really hilarious.
I'm not with you on that at all.
You got to watch it again.
It is a movie I've seen it a bunch of times. Like I said, I just quoted the line.
So many one-liners.
The movie's just not, even in the scheme of Kurt Russell's career, I don't know how you could pick that movie.
Great movie.
You've clearly never seen Escape from New York.
I have. Big Trouble. It's hilarious.
Trouble, Little China. Gosh, the acting is bad. The sets are awful.
I like the sets.
It looks like something we would make. The sets.
No, it's better than what we could make.
No, I don't think so.
And Lopan, how can you not like Lopan? It's a fun movie.
I did think at the time that it came out that his 3 henchmen were really cool.
Oh, yeah.
And they totally ripped one of them off and put him in Mortal Kombat. Raiden.
I think the creators of Mortal Kombat have acknowledged that, yeah, that's where we got
did
him.
they?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
They completely acknowledged it. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
China.
They completely ripped that off. I definitely do not agree with that one. Not even sure it would make my top 100.
Come on. It's such a great satire of these American hero type guys.
Yeah, but I don't like any of those movies either.
And the guy, he's a truck driver and he talks big and he's never been in this situation. He just tries to fake it all. Every line in the movie is nearly quotable. A 6 demon bag. No, you got to watch it again.
It wasn't that long ago that I watched it. Maybe like a year ago.
That's probably too long. You probably need to watch it again. I said Ghostbusters was the greatest comedy. You said maybe not. I know what you're talking about. Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, we don't need to discuss that any
Such
further.
a brilliant movie.
We've discussed that so many times. Hot Fuzz is easily in my top 10. It may be the funniest movie I've ever seen. If it's not, it's number 2.
Brilliant. The Godfather, just amazing movie.
The second one?
Yeah, the second one was really...
Oh, okay.
No, it's actually the first one. I really like the first one. I'm going to guess you're going to think this is an odd choice, but A Perfect World.
Perfect World?
Kevin Costner.
I don't even know that movie.
I've never heard of it, but...
And you have a Kevin Costner movie.
Yeah. I think it was directed by Clint Eastwood.
Does he play some type of athlete?
No, he plays a criminal.
As well as he should, because he owes me money from the movies. From Waterworld alone. I went and saw Waterworld in the theater.
Ooh, yeah.
And I brought a date. I'm going to need some money back on that. It was robbery right there.
But yeah, a neat movie. He plays this criminal who I believe escapes. And somehow he teams up with this kid and he acts as kind of the surrogate father to the kid. And I thought it was just a really neat story. And they really did a great job of making it heartwarming.
Were there no Martin Lawrence movies available for you to choose from? I mean,
if Martin Lawrence had been in this, it would have been on the list.
Was Ja Rule not in anything else?
Yeah, I'm Ja Rule. I'm going to take care of this kid here. Where's my car? I got to win this race. I'm Ja Rule.
I got a head like a peanut.
All right, getting a little more artistic. The Lives of Others.
Again, didn't see it.
Foreign film. Just such a neat movie, such a well-told story. Just one of those that you leave and you're thinking about. Really neat movie. Spring, summer, fall, winter, and spring.
And spring again. No, I've never seen that one either.
It equates the seasons to humanity and humanity's journey. This monk has this monastery. But it's not quite a monastery, but it's like a small house in the middle of a lake. If a woman drops off a baby, this kid is trained as a monk. When he gets to be a teenager, he's done with being a monk. He leaves, goes out in the world, causes a ruckus, comes back. I think he's been a criminal.
So the prequel to Batman?
A lot like that. So he comes back and the monk accepts him, but then he tries to become a monk again. And his master dies. And at the end of the movie, a woman drops off a little baby to him. And it's like just this continuous cycle, just like the seasons. And
it's the same woman.
I doubt it. That would have been rather difficult for her to...
30 years later? No.
She was 12 the first time.
She's going to be 20 and then 50. I mean, Kathy Lee Gifford did it. I mean, why can't this woman? It was Kathy Lee Gifford.
Fight Club.
You love those twist endings.
I mean, not so much twist endings, but just something kind of redefines a genre almost. Fight Club was unlike anything I'd ever seen.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's a good movie. And who doesn't love Edward Norton? And
you have the commentary on humanity and this duality of man type thing. And any movie that kind of speaks to somebody that lacks confidence, that connects with me. So I care that thinks they're not good enough. Half of my movies on my list are people that think they're not good enough. So last of the honorable mentions, Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
How does that not make your top 10? Oh, okay. Big Trouble was honorable mention. Okay, because if that made it over Indiana Jones, you've got problems, sir. See, again, that's a pop movie, I would think, but it would easily be my top 10.
I mean, it's a pop movie. It's so well done.
I think it's a pop movie to some point. I think you have to watch it more than once to appreciate that it's not fully a pop movie. And I think what made it a pop movie is that they came out with 3 others after it. I completely agree. Raiders is incredible. I think it's what a lot of movies still aspire to be.
Pretty much almost
the whole episode.
Yeah, we talk about movies quite a bit on this podcast.
Well, I had to know about the top 10. I was curious about your top 10, and just picking 10 movies is hard.
Oh yeah,
and for you you've got some balls to say this is my top 10 favorite movies. Because if you asked me what my top 10 were, man, I would muddle around and then give you like probably 30 more honorable mentions just so I can kind of squeeze them into the top 10.
I started that list when I started I've watched every movie on the IMDb top 250 list. I feel like if I'm going to say I've watched every movie on the 250 list, I got to give people a list so they can tear it apart.
Did you think when you made the list, because the first thought that came to my mind when I started thinking about my top 10 list is I'd like to have like one of each kind of genre in there. Did that ever cross your mind, or did you just go strictly, this is my top 10, or I need a comedy, I need a sci-fi?
No.
What's my favorite
Never
Kevin
thought about
Costner
genre.
movie?
Never thought about genre. Yeah, just movies that, as I've watched, have just hit me, like I've really connected with. And
because I tend to think more in genre, like, man, I know exactly how I would do this. I would make lists. What are my favorite sports movies? What are my favorite comedies? What are my favorite dramas? What is my favorite sci-fi? And I'd make those lists, and then I would select
have a top 10 for each genre.
Well, no, I would select, and I would make sure that I'd have variety in there because I would need to cover them all.
And yeah, my disclaimer is I'm not saying these movies are the most well made. These
right,
I mean, these are just my movies that kind of take this movie off the list and just couldn't do it.
It makes me really question your sanity with Big Trouble in Little China. How you could take that off your
underrated movie.
Gosh, I could make a top 10 sports movies.
The Mighty Ducks, Bull Durham.
Bull Durham would probably be in the top 10 sports movies.
Waterworld. Wasn't that about swimming?
Greg Louganis / Michael Phelps. It's kind of a mixture of the two. Yeah.
Kevin Costner played both of them, as I recall.
Dual roles.
Yeah.
Yes, 60 would be, is it 60? 61, 62.
61. Maris?
61, yeah.
61.
Mantle, that would probably be in the top 3. That was an incredible movie.
That was a good movie. What about 3? Dale Earnhardt.
I've never seen it. I can't take any movie.
The only thing I remember about that
seriously.
movie is my brother and I, we kept quoting this part where Dale Earnhardt Jr. is like, I ain't no good at school, Daddy. All I want to do is race. So, of course, that's all I remember from that movie.
I did see that.
Barry Pepper did.
Barry
Roger
Pepper was
Maris,
in it.
and then Dale Earnhardt.
That's right.
What? I don't know if he did those movies consecutively, but they were really close together.
Yeah, they were really close together.
And then I think he did Battlefield Earth, and it just went down.
Oh yeah, I've never seen him after after 61 and 3.
Like, they're like, oh, you did Battlefield Earth? Yeah, right here, pal. See you later.
I remember watching 3 and actually thinking it was pretty good. I'm not into racing at all. But if I had to pick a racing movie, I mean, see, then if I had to pick a racing movie, it'd be Rush.
The only race I've ever watched, and I haven't watched any race more than 2 minutes. Flip on the screen, happen to look at a race. Dale Earnhardt hits the wall. It's the only race I've ever watched. Only watched it, like, as soon as I flipped it on, he wrecked. I'm like...
So you killed Dale Earnhardt.
One could argue that.
One could argue that.
I'm like, okay, I should stop watching races.
Click on another race this Sunday. Maybe you're the opposite of Unbreakable. Maybe you actually kill people.
Mr. Glass.
Mr. Glass. That's right. Sports movies. The Tom Hanks movie where he coached the women's baseball team. That'd probably be my number 1.
A League of Their Own.
Yeah, League of Their Own probably be my number 1.
Your number 1 sports movie? Or
number 1 sports movie.
All right, we're not talking all the time.
Probably my number 1 Tom Hanks movie as well. So those,
is it your number 1 Rosie O'Donnell movie?
Actually, no. It's my second favorite Rosie O'Donnell movie. Beautiful Girls would be mine.
Flintstones? Gosh, she was good in that.
No, it'd be Beautiful Girls. Is that going to wrap it up?
We do need to do a top 3.
Can't be movie related.
Well, last week you were talking about books.
Okay, well, let's do that. Top 3 books, and I think we're going to be so far apart.
I mean, because it starts out as, okay, what books can I remember having actually read? That's where we start.
1 apple up on top. Dr. Seuss.
In no particular order. This is just a number of books. I'm going to start talking about them, and we can call that list down. But Kurt Vonnegut, Slaughterhouse-Five.
Okay.
Really neat book. That probably is on my top 3. Orson Scott Card, 2 books here. They're both in the Ender's Game series. Ender's Game and Speaker for the Dead. I mean, it's just Ender's Game. I started reading it one night, 11 o'clock, and also I look up and it's 3 o'clock. Couldn't put it down. Really neat. And I thought the movie adaptation wasn't bad. I mean, for a movie adaptation, not bad. Speaker for the Dead, really well done. What disappointed me is I came back and I read a book he'd written recently. I couldn't get through the first chapter. Wow, he did these books and he did this. This is just not good. What happened?
Writing a book. I mean, you know how difficult that is. Especially if you come out with something really great right away. Gosh, you feel the pressure to. I mean,
writing a book's hard enough. Writing a good book, writing a great book, it's difficult. This would have to be on my top 3. Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. I've talked about him before. Amazing writer. His prose, unparalleled. Philip K. Dick, Ubik, sci-fi. Again, a neat book. I'm not sure to make my top 3. Richard Morgan, Altered Carbon, another sci-fi book, which I'm a big fan of sci-fi, so yeah, I lean towards that. And in that book, it's the future to where you digitize a person's consciousness and you can insert them into another body. The world is big, so instead of going planet to planet, physically send somebody, you download their consciousness, and then so this guy is a detective, and he has to solve a crime on some other planet, so they just get his consciousness, puts him in another body. Neat movie. It went on a little neat movie. Neat book. Cool concept. I mean, neat world building. 1984, George Orwell. And actually, I looked it up because I always just remember one scene where the main character is being tortured and he gives up his companion. And he says, in that moment of torture, you'd say anything they want. And I looked it up because I remember the scene very vividly, but apparently I remember it wrong because I remember the torture as, I don't even know where I got this from. I had to have seen this somewhere. I don't think I made this up, but that they put a rat on his stomach and then put a bucket on his stomach and heated up the bucket because a rat can't claw through the bucket, so it starts clawing through your abdomen.
That's a scene from another movie.
Is it? Because I thought it was from the book, and then I looked it up just to make sure, and I was like, no, it's not from the book.
From a movie. One of your guilty pleasure.
Oh, yeah?
Fast and Furious.
Really? It
is a scene from, I'm trying to think of what number Fast and Furious, but yes, it's from a Fast and Furious movie. It's the one with, the guy from Dazed and Confused, Cole Hauser. Was that the second one with Tyrese?
Tyrese was in the second one.
Yeah, it's the second one. They go to Cole Hauser. He's trying them out.
I feel like Fast and the Furious had to have copied that from somewhere
I'm sure
else.
they did, yeah.
There's no
I'm sure they've thought of nothing on their own. But yes, it was in a Fast and Furious movie where they were torturing some cop with it in the back of a club. And it was one with Eva Mendes, too, so I think that was 2.
And as far as torture goes, I'm not a fan of torture, but that just seems like it'd be really effective.
Yeah, I'm okay with torture.
I still think that'd be really effective. I mean, I just can't imagine too many things worse than having a rat try to claw through your abdomen. Anyway, on to a brighter subject. One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich.
I thought you were going to stop right there.
And I can't remember who the author was. I don't know. There's just something about that movie. I remember reading it in...
Book.
Yeah. What
I
say?
said movie.
Gosh, I keep saying movie. Really neat book. And I think I read it in either maybe early high school or late. And it's just one... The guy's a prisoner in the Russian Gulag. And it just covers one day. And I can't even tell you much about the book other than that, but it's always stuck with me. I just always think of that. These would be pop books, to borrow our coin phrase. Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis.
Nothing wrong with that. That's a great book.
I read through that one and just the whole series, just really neat.
I think I'm more of a pop book kind of guy. I love pop-up books.
Those are good too. The Hobbit, J.R. Tolkien.
Yeah,
of
course, yeah.
The Lord of the Rings, I tried to read those books and they didn't do it for me. But The Hobbit...
Same thing with me. The Hobbit was something I could actually read. And
yeah, but I read The Hobbit. I went to Lord of the Rings, couldn't do it. I read Chronicles of Narnia. I'm like, well, I tried to read Lord of the Rings. That didn't work. So I really read the rest of the Chronicles of Narnia. Finally went ahead and did it. I was like, wow, they are really neat. And to close it out, Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling.
Have you read them all?
Twice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Even I didn't read them twice. Books are incredible. Those books are incredible. See, you're supposed to give a top 3 here. You know what I just did? I listed everything I've ever read.
Slaughterhouse 5 has got to be on there. Blood Meridian's got to be on there. And the problem with these series books is that you got to include the whole series.
Right, you can't read one. It counts as a series, yeah.
I mean, I almost say Harry Potter, but I think that's partly because I've read that probably most recently from a lot of these books. So
those books are incredible.
They're really neat.
Have you seen the movies? I mean, I assume you've seen the movies.
Yeah, I've seen the movies.
There's so much missing from the books. The movies are still great.
The movies are really
good. That first one still captures me like a child. The first one's still my favorite, but it's just so innocent, and it captures my imagination every time I watch it.
First movie's really good. I saw the movies, or some of the movies, before I read the books. Because I'd heard about Harry Potter, never thought much of it. My mom got really into it, and she's like, we should just check out the movies. And I watched that first movie. I thought it was really neat, and just everything about it, the concept, the premise, really good.
Gosh, now you got me thinking if Harry Potter would be on my top 3. But One Day by David Nichols is easily in my top 3. It's probably my favorite book ever.
What's that about?
These two friends that meet one day when they graduate college, and then every year they catch you up to date on that same day about, just basically their relationship and their friendship and where they are in their lives. And so for the next 20 years, they catch you up on where they are.
Is this fiction?
Yeah. It's not action. It's a guy and a girl. They just graduated college, and then they just kind of become friends. They happen to get together on the same day every year, and I love the idea. I love the idea of that. I don't know why.
Friend zoned.
Well, no, and there's always something between them. It's never the right time. And then finally, they do get together, and she ends up being hit by a bus.
Wow.
Yeah. Gets a little dark there at the end. It takes a dark
Just
turn.
A little bit.
It actually became a really popular movie, too, with Anne Hathaway, and I can't think of the dude's name, but...
Can't recall a movie where Anne Hathaway gets hit by a bus.
I don't like any of those movies where Anne Hathaway gets hit by a bus, because she's one of those people I could just watch the movie just because she's in it. Douglas Adams. I love Traveler's Guide to the Galaxy.
Hitchhikers?
Thank you. Oh, my gosh.
Love it so much, can't even remember the name.
I've not only did I read the book, I've read the book a couple times. I've listened to the audiobook when it was on cassette. That tells you how old I am. And it's just one of those things. Every time they go to redo it, I say, I'm going to watch that. And then I don't watch it because I don't want it to ruin the book.
I've started the book, but...
No, you don't like it?
I don't want to say I didn't like it. I can't remember. I know I started. I can't remember why I didn't continue with it.
I don't know why I just said Travelers. What was I thinking? Well, that's one of those ones that I can pick up and read again with no problem. If I look back and I think about like high school and college and any of that time, man, I loved Of Mice and Men. It was another great book. And then they made it into a movie, and you put Gary Sinise and John Malkovich together and made a movie. That's phenomenal. My gosh, that was such a good movie. I guess the Harry Potters would have to be in there. Oh, no. I'm going to go with another set of books, the Dan Browns. It's like Harry Potter, but...
just like Harry Potter.
Without all the magic.
I mean, somehow he magically finds the answer every time.
You know what? That's what it is for me about those books is it's the clues and figuring stuff out. And can I figure it out before it gets figured out in the book? And that's what I love about those books. Gosh, I love it. And sometimes I can figure it out. Sometimes I can't. Just Dan Brown, period.
Those are neat books. I mean, the worlds he creates are really neat, but yeah. I have major issues with his prose.
I know you do. And so do I sometimes. I mean, just some of his phrasings of the way he says things just drive me crazy.
It's just proof that ideas sell.
And as well as they should. I mean, they're really good ideas. They're not something you see every day.
And they don't have to be well written to sell. I mean, you have a good idea.
It's Hollywood. Doesn't have to be written well. Just have to have the idea.
Yeah. Whatever. We'll get the idea. We'll get somebody else to write it or ghostwrite it or do whatever.
These books were ripe to be made into movies, and they blew that. They were written like scripts, in my mind. I mean, would you agree? I mean, the books, they're clever.
There's a lot to it to go to a movie.
So those are my three. One Day, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Douglas Adams, and Dan Brown. If I had to pick a Dan Brown, I don't know which one it would be. Probably Angels and Demons.
I like that movie. Book.
I like that book. Gosh, I don't like any of those movies.
You know, as an anecdote to that, I remember Christmas and things, you know, family want to get you stuff. And like, yeah, just get me a movie. I don't know what you get me. But I know one year I got a lot of movies, and I think it was my grandma. She's like, wow, you sure do like to read, don't you? Love to read. Like, you got a lot of books. I'm like, yeah. Like, what are the names on me? I'm like, I can't remember what they would have named. But, you know, they're all movies. It's like, oh, I've never heard of those books. I'm like, yeah, they're newer books. Love to read.
Short stories, Grandma. Have another. I think that'll do it for this week.
Definitely. That is it for this week.
Thanks for listening to Fridays on the Fly. I'm Eric.
And I'm Ward. Go to our website, fridaysonthefly.com. You can find all our social media profiles. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher. Please rate it, comment on it, do something. We'd love to hear from you. You can contact me at ward@fridaysonthefly.com. And you can contact Eric at fridaysonthefly.com. Very creative and confusing names. Check out us on Twitter, Facebook. We have all kinds of things. We can ask you questions. We'd love to hear your responses to your top 3 favorite books.
Remember, people, one duel plus one duel is two duels.